Well, good morning, everybody. And today I want to start off with some satellite imagery. So we're going to watch here just the sunrise across the United States. And there's a couple of very important features we need to pay attention to. First, you can see the deep low that just moved off the New England coast. And yeah, this did bring in some decent rain here to parts of coastal New England. But it's leaving this long frontal boundary sitting right in through here. And this is the first of a couple of fronts that are going to move through that I think are going to be quite important to this upcoming pattern. The second part to this is this cutoff that's, well, it's not yet cut off, but this low here, upper level low that's going to become cut off over the eastern Corn Belt over the next couple of days and deliver some rainfall, but also keep temperatures quite cool. If I take you back to yesterday, though, look at the extent of the cloud cover coming out of the southwest monsoon, really racing here, covering the Four Corners states, but up into parts of California, Nevada, and Oregon. But what I was really focusing in on this animation is a lot of the wildfire smoke that you still see here in parts of the Pacific Northwest getting into British Columbia. And this is going to be something I think we're going to have to watch very carefully in the coming days, given the ridge that's rebuilding here, the heat that's coming in. In fact, there's already excessive heat watches, warnings, and heat advisories, plus red flag warnings throughout the Pacific Northwest, given this new pattern that's setting up. So just thinking about the setup, I want to quickly review recent rainfall. So this is the last 7 days of total accumulated rainfall. Now, as we look at maps like this, we often just focus on who got really heavy rain, and we've done that a lot in these videos as of late, but I want to make a point here. We do expect some very heavy rains coming in down into parts of Oklahoma and Texas, right along the Red River Valley of the South. But if you go just north of that, there are substantial portions of Nebraska and Kansas that missed out. Same thing for South Dakota, pockets of Iowa and Minnesota, then getting over into the eastern Corn Belt that have missed out on some of this rain as well. So it's just as important to see the holes in this as to see who got the heaviest rains. When we look at our latest soil moisture data, that's where it really starts to become apparent, those pockets that are missed. So we can start New England, continue to see some drought pressure there, and then we stretch right in through this corridor here. That's one spot running, basically from Ohio through the I-states back into the Dakotas, and then right in through here that I'm very concerned about. And the big reason for that is this is the next 10 days according to the European model. So what we're going to be seeing overall in terms of conditions is it is going to be drier in through this region and cooler. That's the good news. At least we're not seeing the excessive heat. But the stalled out frontal boundaries here, and again, this moisture is not from a tropical system. We have some places in here that can get 1 to 4 inches of rainfall. Now, overall, the setup for the next 7 days, it looks something like this. Okay, so we have this cutoff low that's going to move over the eastern Corn Belt, possibly deliver a ½ inch to some places, maybe 1.5 inches of rainfall. But at the base of this broader trough is this stalled out boundary, and there is the potential in parts of Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas of 1 to 4 inches, maybe some locally heavier amounts, and they do stretch into parts of the southeast. But it's this area here, just notice that I'm getting concerned about, while the West Coast sees the heat really building and the potential for high evaporation rates and a lot of crop stress at this point in the year. I do want to point out that we are watching a system that's going to curl up into the Canadian prairie and possibly into the Hudson Bay and leave a front that could push up against the mountains here, delivering some much needed rainfall to southern Alberta, maybe parts of Saskatchewan, but into Montana and maybe North Dakota as well. And to show you that, I want to go right to the high-res European model for today. Let's just play this out to see how the precipitation patterns kind of fall out here over the next few days. I'm kind of rocking back and forth over Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. All right. So we see a lot of isolated storms here connected to a front that wraps up into the system in New England. We also see the cutoff low moving in the southwest monsoon. It's also continuing to go. So through Saturday, a lot of scattered showers in this area. It's going to press through on Sunday and then set up here by Monday. Now, to the south of that will be a front that sits right over the Red River Valley of the South, really delivering quite a bit of rainfall. Now, that system I was mentioning a moment ago, you can see it way up here next Wednesday, and it will have a front that'll stretch just like this. And it'll kind of come down in two pieces, possibly lifting for some better air here, delivering some rain to parts of Montana. But if you notice, as I went back and forth here, next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, look at the rains that are coming into parts of Texas. And this is desperately needed rainfall from there, and this does stretch into New England, also areas that need rain. So this just kind of gets us the bigger idea of what we're expecting over the next 5 to 7 days with this precipitation pattern. And it's quite important to see that those folks that are missing some of the rain in the eastern half or eastern 2/3 of the country will at least not see the extreme heat with this. So I'm going to take you over to the European model, and I want to show you here one of my favorite products. Let's zoom in and let's look at the probability of at least 1 inch of rainfall. So if we stretch this out using the latest data, here we go. That takes you out there to day 10. Let's stop it right there. So very high probability of getting over an inch of rain in through this area, and also with that upper level low coming through, and then thankfully here into parts of New England. If we take this up to 2 inches, now you can really see what that heaviest rainfall band is going to be. On the temperature side of it, we do have today excessive, like I said, excessive heat watches, excessive heat warning and heat advisories, and plus a red flag warning here in the west. And all of this is actually for fog across much of the eastern part of the country. But take a look at what these temperatures are going to do. So here's today's highs going into tomorrow. Again, a lot of heat in the west into the Pacific Northwest, while much of the rest of the country is cooler. We do have above average temperatures coming in late this weekend in New England, but temperatures still here in the mid to upper 80s, probably trying to crack 90. But first, substantial cool down for the southern plains really all summer. This is going into Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And I was kind of looking carefully at it, so I pulled up some data from Austin, Texas. I have a good friend that lives there, and we were just chit-chatting. It's amazing to see this, so take a look. This is the temperatures compared to average in Austin, Texas. And just to make a point here, we have got basically the last time there was a below normal temperature for at least more than a day was back in May. And you can see how much hotter it was than normal. And also just to take a look at their precipitation, they've flatlined, since the late June. It's just driest. They're only at 57% of normal. That's off almost 9 inches. By the way, this is in the tools that I link in every report, so you can have access to this. But broader picture, we just stretch this out over the next 15 days. You can see the temperature pattern stays relatively stable with what we've got right now. And we could recover more normal temperatures to maybe some above normal temperatures stretching through here. But really to finish off this month and start the new one, sustained cooler weather across the southern plains into the southeast, while the heat kind of paints the corners here. And when I say that, to be above average in early September in New England this isn't stressful, but we're going to see those stressful temperatures here in the Pacific Northwest. Last thing just to point out, I want to show you, I was looking at some of the rains coming into South America. This is going to be a major story going forward. And the models are trying to bring in rain into some really dry places down here in southern Brazil, getting into Argentina and Uruguay. This is going to have to be watched carefully. But the monsoon will not fill this in for another month and a half. That's when we start to see the moisture really returning here. And one last point to make, the heat waves we've been discussing going through Europe, we do see that still a hot week ahead here for much of Europe, but the real heat is tucked away into the Russian wheat belt, the northern Russian wheat belt here, where temperatures could be 15 to 20 degrees above average, which means those problems are going to continue. Okay, appreciate your attention today. Also, read the report. I got a brand new tool that I released. It's a growing degree day calculator tool. We're making some adjustments to it, but I want to get it in your hands so you can take a look. So we will leave you off there. Have a good week, and we'll talk to you on Friday morning. Thanks.